As a small business owner, you deserve more. More confidence, more connectivity, more of the tools that help your business thrive. And at Cox Business, you can expect more from us. We don't just have sales reps. We have perfect plan identifiers. People who will work with you to make sure your business gets everything it needs and nothing that it doesn't. Your business deserves more, and that's why you can expect more from Cox Business. Call 800-526-8572 to switch today.
There's nothing more predictable in life than the unexpected. Lightning will always strike. Hail will fall on roofs. Fortunately, there's AAA. AAA has been helping members stay prepared for over 100 years. So when unusual storms, fallen debris, or sudden leaks happen, you'll be covered. Check, check, and check. Get the home and auto insurance you need by talking with a AAA insurance agent today. Visit AAA.com/insurance or stop by your local AAA store.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go. The blood we've shed. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. They don't know where we've been. We got that concrete street skin. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. We've been shot up, beat up by the falling of the arrow.
Oh, wait, but you couldn't hear anything that I just said. Orty, we did it again. That's 2 shows in a row. Welcome to Cyber Wars. You have reached Cyber Wars. No one is home at the moment. Please leave a message. No, actually, we're really here. I'm here, and so is Orty Packard. What's up, Orty Packard?
Oh, just, the thing.
Yeah, the thing.
Doing the thing.
You know
no.
You know the thing.
You know the thing. How was your Memorial weekend?
It was, well, I mean, it was like lots of homework and stuff. Search warrants this week. That's always fun. And
receiving them or studying them?
Not receiving them. Thankfully, but it's studying them. So if I ever do receive one, that mother is getting scrutinized down to down to the every dot of the I and cross of the T, because guaranteed. But I don't expect to be receiving any. But I will tell
Just remember the old Amish saying, "Am I being detained?"
Yeah, is that an Amish saying?
That's an old Amish saying.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. An Amish mafia saying, right?
Yeah.
Not just
we don't exist. Wink.
Right. It won't. Yeah. Nobody's mafia. None of the mafia exists.
There is no mafia.
There is no mafia. Even Amish mafia, especially Amish mafia. But the highlight.
There is no mafia. There is only Zool.
The highlight of my weekend, however, came today, because one of our friends, and we don't name names here, but they had. But I will say that they are a software engineer, really, really smart guy, super smart guy. But as we know, software engineers don't do security and firewalls and shit like that. So they were having an issue with their security and their firewall and their shit like that. And something that they needed to do their software engineering job is everybody's working at home, right? So you can't just like dial up technical support or dial up the SOC or whatever and say, hey, what's up with the proxies? Because my shit's not working, right?
Sure.
And so he goes on one of those like help forums, Slack forum kind of things. And he asks for help and they give him an explanation and it doesn't really help him. So he asks me, right? I fixed it. He said, they said it's my proxy. I said, what's your proxy? I don't have a proxy. Well, then it can't be your proxy. Am I right?
No, I mean, that's...
Yeah, it was a firewall. We figured it out, right? But I fixed a security issue. So it was a good...
That's what happened. That's what happens when you go to Reddit for your Zoom advice.
Yeah, and it wasn't...
Well, it's just the night of Reddit, isn't it? We talked about it on FluBar, and I just referenced it here. Well, no.
Right, it is. It's Reddit night, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had a really good day. That felt really good for somebody to come to me and say, "Hey, I'm having an issue." Well, did you check this? No, go check that. And
did you turn it off and turn it back on again?
No, and it actually wasn't. That wasn't my answer, which is my go-to. But it's everybody's go-to. I mean, let's be honest. Right. It's everybody's.
I mean, it's a meme, and it's it's the IT crowd is funny, and but yeah. So
yeah, and usually my first question is, "Did you kick it?"
Right.
First, kick it. If that doesn't work, turn it off. Turn it back on again.
And if at first you don't succeed, get a bigger hammer.
Indeed. Indeed. What was the highlight of your weekend?
Well, actually, the highlight of my weekend, it was pretty quiet. It was pretty low-key until not only did we almost not have a FluBar because of power issues, but I almost had to run out because I do, occasionally on weekends, I do security for this one business, and I had gotten a call 20 minutes before showtime of somebody complaining about they have a propane leak. And through the course of the conversation, it's an elderly woman, and through the course of the conversation, it wasn't really a propane leak. She had just left the burner on when she went out. So, but anyway, the fire department's on the way. So that was the highlight. That was just a moment of panic 20 minutes ago that I may have had to run out of the house and call you and say, vamp. So, but we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know like what I would have done. Like talk to myself for an hour, maybe. So we've got a lot to talk about.
We got a ton of shit.
Yeah, you have our weekly Windows.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, I mean this is with the new 2004 feature release coming out. It started trickling out late last week and early this week, and it should be widespread by the end of the week. A new item in Windows 10 2004 that's come out is the upgrades to the Windows Hello. And if you're not familiar with that because you're not using Windows 10 yet, why, I get you love 7, but it's being depreciated and anybody with 8 should be on 10 by now. Anyway, Windows Hello is one of the ways you log in. It's a biometric sensor where you can use fingerprint, face recognition, kind of like a Google photo thing, PIN number. They have a wide variety of ways to log into your Windows computer. And one of the things that has always been the sticking point of everybody with Windows 10 since they started doing the Hello, if for whatever reason you have to go into safe mode, you have to remember what your Windows account password is. You may not have used it since you set up your computer, and you've been using your PIN number or your face record or anything else with Windows Hello since then, but God forbid you ever had to go into face mode, you had to remember whatever archaic cryptic password you put in was that is probably saved on your password keeper that is on your desktop that you can't get to because you have to go into safe mode. So they've added that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I actually had to do that once.
See?
And yeah, and it's like, I mean, I've got my password keeper in multiple places, and I've got multiple computers, so it was a pain in the butt for me. But I thought about if someone didn't have their password in multiple places, they'd be screwed.
Right. Yeah. So that's a nice new feature update. And another thing they're doing with it too is not just in safe mode, but you can set it up to when you log into Windows using your Windows Hello, that it will log you into all of your Microsoft accounts simultaneously. So if you're using the new Edge browser, if you're using the Office suite, if you're using anything, OneDrive, it logs you into all of them simultaneously with that account. And if you switch accounts, it goes and logs you into if you turn this feature on. It's really nice too, because like I know a lot of people who like use OneDrive instead of Dropbox or whatever. They'll be in the middle of a gaming session and their OneDrive pops up asking for a password because it needs to sync files.
Right.
Because you forgot to disable that before you started gaming.
Right.
So that happens. And like I said, with the new Edge, it's a nice one login for your whole Microsoft environment.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you use it and you use everything, right, and you have all that, and in a corporate environment, it's going to be like really nice to have that one log on or that one log on.
Yeah, and it's really and one of the things is that we all know how annoying it is to put in passwords every time you have to do something, and when most of your Microsoft environment, when you're using Office suites, Outlook is your email, or Windows Mail is your email, or if you log in. However, it makes it nice is that you just log in when you're at your desktop. You put in your PIN number, or however it is you log into your computer, and then you're automatically logged into everything. You don't have to worry about it for the rest of your session.
Right. Yeah.
The best thing, and this is what makes me very happy, is that Windows 10 is finally going to end support for Windows 10 32-bit. The reason why this makes me happy. The reason why this makes me happy is that you've been limping along on this 32-bit system likely since Windows XP. You have gone through upgrade to upgrade at 32-bit the whole time because that was your original OS. And if you're still using Windows 32-bit, goddamn, upgrade your shit.
So is the compatibility gonna go? The compatibility is not gonna go away. So the Windows old folder is still gonna be there.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. No, it'll still be there, but it's just it's no longer being supported.
Right. So a 32-bit system's not going to be supported anymore, but the compatibility between the two, like if you have an application that's 32-bit, it'll still be compatible with the 64.
Sure. It's the same thing as when Windows goes end of life on an operating system, like Windows 7 they did recently, or Windows XP. It's just that, it'll actually be good too because it will make the update packages smaller because it's not updating I don't know. If you didn't know this, when you're updating Windows, it's updating for every type of Windows there is, whether it's Windows 10S, Windows 10 Home, Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Enterprise, 64-bit and 32-bit. That is what is being updated in your computer. So with the elimination of 32-bit, should cut that download in half.
It'll definitely streamline it. I told you I was going to ask stupid questions about that.
Sure.
Sure, and you did. Good job.
No, it's not stupid questions.
Promises made.
We all have our wheelhouses. If you were to talk about something Apple, I would just sit here and look pretty.
I know exactly, which you're so good at. So that's promises made, promises kept from me tonight so far.
Yeah.
So so that was really interesting. It's not that I'm not a Windows user. I do, because I try to use everything and I try to stay up to date on everything. But, my go-to is Apple and my preference is Apple. So, you are definitely our Windows guy, and I like it that you're keeping us up to date. And I've been really fascinated by where Windows is going, as you all know, because I've said it. quite a few times.
They're actually getting good.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of impressed. I mean, I have to say I'm not unimpressed with them at this point. So, so the other thing that we had for the first half of this show was the GDPR, which it's kind of a dirty word. I think that most, especially in the States, most of us know it as kind of a dirty word. And anybody that works in, IT or information security or anything like that has kind of come to view it as a bit of a dirty word. It is a leap forward in privacy, though.
It is, and that's where, as an end user, I don't get the hate. As DevOps, I get the hate.
Right. Yeah.
As an end user, this. I mean, if the United States were to do this, California adopted it. If the United States had done this first, everybody would have fucking loved it. Mm-hmm. But because the EU did it and it has the stench of EU on it, it does have that, those statists. But this is actually freeing you. This is actually helping you with your privacy. It just wasn't built that way, much the same way that net neutrality wasn't built that way.
Right. I think that we probably all know, and let's just be honest, that, they're a massive bureaucracy and regulators, and this is a regulation, and regulators make regulations in order to capture the fines that come with them. And so they did it. The EU as a government did it to put money in their pocket.
Sure, and if you don't know what we're talking about, it's the General Data Protection Regulation of the EU, and it's how companies use the data you give them. They have to be very transparent. A lot of what we bitch and moan about companies doing in the United States can't really do in Europe now.
Yeah, and they're not supposed to. It's everything from tracking you to selling your data to using your data to sell you products to giving your data away or trading your data, sharing your data in any way. But it also includes discovery and litigation is regulated by the GDPR, which a lot of people never think about, that it doesn't really enter the conversation, but that is also part of the GDPR, and how that, like, for the United States, the conversations about China and intellectual property theft. So this has been part of our lexicon definitely for the last 6 months, because China.
China.
Yeah. So that a lot of discovery goes back and forth when there's intellectual property theft in a company, and with that is regulated by the GDPR too. So if you're like, our employee in the United States was sending this other company that's in Germany, sending them proprietary information and stealing our intellectual property, and they were working together, well, you're going to have a lot harder time getting that information from the company in Germany. Right. Because of the GDPR and actually proving that case. So that's kind of another line of it, but it encompasses a lot. My point is just that it encompasses a lot of our data, and emails going back and forth between companies and internal companies and discovery and things like that are even included in it. And a lot of people, it's been in effect for 2 years, and they've only, as far as like the Facebooks and Googles of the world, there's only been maybe less than a little over $2 million in fines handed out. And so a lot of people are going, what the fuck are you, where is all this protection that we're supposed to be getting out of this thing?
Right, and that was one of the things that in reading this piece, and I'll link it in chat later, because it's a fantastic piece on CNET. And what I was surprised to learn about, because everybody, since this came out 2 years ago, with all the fanfare and rending of the hair and clothing about it, and every on all sides, one of the things that you hadn't heard about it in the last couple of years, except for like you said, a handful of fines. You have 5,100 euros here and a couple million. Yeah, Google France got hit for 50 million euros, but there's only been a couple of cases. And the reason for that is the way it was proposed, the way that the law was ratified, or the regulation was ratified, was that the country where the company is located does the investigation on said company. And a lot of the tech giants, Google, Facebook, Twitter, so on and so forth, their European offices are in Ireland for tax reasons. And Ireland has the organization that's tasked with investigating the tech giants. It's kind of funny in the article. They receive less funding from the Irish government than the greyhound racing regulatory board in Ireland does. And there isn't a lot of greyhound racing in Ireland. So I'm talking about actual dog racing. So
they're tasked with they have a huge task and very little resources to get it done.
Very little resources, very little money. But the thing is that now they have gotten, after 2 years, they have finally gotten their shit together. So, they've finally got the employees, the way they do investigations, and there is a big investigation against Twitter right now that should be released in the next couple weeks. So it's taken a while, but maybe on the privacy end of it, we'll start seeing some, because
this is how it's going to. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, because these tech giants don't want to have to piecemeal their policy by region, mm-hmm. then what's good for the EU may ultimately be good for the United States as far as the corporate policy.
Right, and they're also all located in California, and California has much more recently, just in the past 6 months, right, finally passed and put into effect a very similar law. And these companies, their U.S. headquarters is in California, so I believe that that's also going to be good for us from a privacy perspective, because what they see the EU do, and if they don't know this, they should know this. If the EU catches them doing something, investigates, and fines them for it, California will be pretty much licking their chops to get the same fines out of them for doing the same things in the U.S.
Absolutely. And one of the things, another comment in this article that I really, it kind of took me by surprise, but after I thought about it for a little bit, is that the tech giants are actually, they're happy about this in a way because they would rather have the EU and California regulating them than China. So and their attitude is that, hey, if we adopt to placate, the EU, Brazil, and the United States, then we've already set our global policy. So China doesn't have a say in that. So was kind of,
China's going to do what they're going to do. I mean, that's like a whole nother sticky situation that I think we're going to see a lot of. I mean, I think that we're going to see companies like, maybe not Google, but, maybe Twitter and Facebook and some tech giants like that maybe pull out of China altogether.
Well, Twitter's already banned in China anyway.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
they have their own social media thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you encounter a true mainland Chinese person on Twitter, they're using a government VPN, and they are allowed to use it by the grace and glory of the Chinese Communist Party.
They're there to troll you for the CCP. That's why they're there. So
yeah,
but we may actually see, and that's kind of where I was coming from with that. We may actually see Twitter and Facebook ban them all together to keep them from doing that, because that's the only reason that they're even there. So they may ban Chinese accounts at some point. And that I'm just basing that on their history of things that they've done with quote unquote disinformation and things like that. But the other thing that I think that we should mention before we go to break is the contact tracing. So almost every week we have a new Rona scam for you guys. The scam of the week with the corona, the Wu flu, the COVID-19 is that
the COVID.
Yeah, that scammers, internet scammers, whatever you want to call them, malicious actors are now trying to use the contact tracing that is being done worldwide, but particularly in this country for you guys, or particularly in the U.S. because most of our audience is U.S. based. They are, using the, as you probably know, Apple rolled out an update that has in the health app on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, they added the COVID-19 tracking that you can turn on or off. There's also an application.
Android did it too.
Right. And really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there are also apps that work with that component in the health app. And I believe that you have to have the app from your state to also make it work. And so if you don't download the app, it doesn't really work anyway. But they are doing things like they'll sending people text messages saying you've been exposed, right? So you came in contact with someone who tested positive. Download this app, fill out your application or whatever. So I mean, like we've talked about before, they're using panic, trying to use panic, fear, to make you anxious, to make you click on a link that's actually really malware, or taking you to a website so they can harvest your information. They'll ask you for, your birth date, probably your social security number, things like that. And so, I mean, this is just the latest in scams that they're using the fear around the coronavirus to get people to click. What did you think of that?
No, I mean, this is a FUD exploit, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things, and this is helping you to protect you from yourself, is that the contact tracing is going to come from your county. So the one thing that this is not sophisticated enough when it's sending out these phishing text messages is to know what county you're in. So, like, if you get a text, a legitimate contact tracing text is going to say, Kern County Health Department has, through contact tracing has discovered that you have been in contact with someone. That's, that would be an example of a legitimate one. This one is going to say your local county authority or your local health authority is notifying you that, you have come. That's the one where you're going to be scammed. So as always, look for the legitimate markers. Look for if it didn't come from your county, it's probably not real.
Right.
And links are spooky.
Right.
Don't click links.
And so, you can turn off, like, as we said before, you can turn off inside those apps. You can turn off the tracking if you don't, or inside the health app and on the Apple, I assume on the Android you can as well.
Yeah, you have to go into settings. I know in both Apple and Android, you have to go into the settings and actually disable it.
Well,
a lot of people were saying, do not let your phone update.
Well, the Apple came off by default.
Because you took an update.
Yeah, but it was turned off. It was disabled by default.
Okay. So enough people must have bitched about it, because the Android one. Because I know when this story first came out, not about the SMS, but about the contact tracing becoming part of your phone, becoming part of your life, whether you wanted it to or not.
Right.
The advice initially was turn off updates for your phone.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to have your contact traced, and then great.
Yeah,
but from privacy concerns.
Yeah, and that's that's kind of a little bit of a drastic approach as well. But I mean, forensicators know that just because you turn an app off doesn't mean that it's always necessarily off either. So
No, you've
there's
actually
that. Yeah,
with Android, you actually have to go into the setting, not the settings of the app, but your Android settings and force stop. You have to hit the force stop button. Otherwise, it's always running in the background anyway, chewing up your battery.
Yeah, and that's so we won't get into Apple versus Android on that. But yeah, so the Apple came across off by default, but definitely check it and make sure that it's absolutely off. And I would I intend on checking mine pretty regularly to make sure that it's still off, because you just never know. But you also have to have another app probably that's going to come from your state to make it actually work, at least on your iPhone. I don't necessarily know about the Android, but at least on your iPhone, you're going to have a separate app that's connected to the state to make it work, because that's who the contact tracers, the people, are working for, the snitches. That's who they're working for. So the reason that we tell you this is so that you'll know all this. So if you have it turned off on your phone and you have everything turned off, you don't have the app from the state, you have it turned off in the health app, the main app on the iPhone, you're not going to get a text message that says that you've been in contact with somebody that's positive, because they wouldn't know. And if you do, even if you do have it on and you get a text message and it says that you've been in contact with somebody that's tested positive, don't necessarily believe it, because there are assholes out there sending text messages to random people and trying to scare them to get them to download malware. And
links are spoofy.
Yeah, and I think and links are spoofy. And I think that's probably about all that we really need to say about that, because our listeners are smart. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, because we got lots of malware to talk about. Crazy malware. We'll be right back.
Crazy, insane.
Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Their love couldn't go no further. Proud of and disgusted by her. Push on the little bruised and battered. Hold on, I ain't coming home with you. My life's a bit more colder. Damn, wife is what I told her. Brass knife sticks to my shoulder. Oh, babe, don't know what I'm gonna do.
Alrighty, and we're back, and we've got malware to talk about, and I still haven't decided which one should go first. What do you think?
Oh, let's do the maze. We've been talking about that one a lot.
Oh, yeah. So Maze is a ransomware that has come up on this show a couple of times. And this is, you guys will, that I think this will make you remember when we talked about it before. They believe that it is they haven't assigned this to any advanced persistent threat group or anything like that. They call it the Maze ransomware group. They can't really figure out who is using this. I don't think they really know whether they're a state actor or just a financial actor, if they're just robbers and barons or, organized crime or, if it's
I actually think it's out in the water supply.
You do? You think it's in the wild?
I actually do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's in the wild now. I think it's just... the thing is it's coming up too often now. It's like another story that we're talking about later, the Ragnar from Ragnarok. That's very specific. That's not out there as much. Maze is every week. So either you've got a gang that is scooping up all they can, which this is a dumb time to do it because Bitcoin is way down.
Right.
So, I mean, I really think that it's just people grabbing what they can, and I think this one's out in the wild.
Right. Yeah, and I don't tend to think that
Oh yeah, we're still playing Dead South.
Well, because we like that song.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
GR said,
sorry, I can actually. It's so low I couldn't even hear it in my ear. So thanks for letting me know. But so yeah, I mean, and I think that it is. I think that you're right. I think that lots of people probably have their hands on it. I think that the Bank of Costa Rica, this leak that we're going to talk about right now, I don't know that. I kind of feel like maybe this is organized crime, and that's why they can't assign it to a group. But at any rate, so what came up this week about Maze ransomware is that, and they call them the Maze ransomware operators. That's what they are. That's how they refer to the group, and this is what we talked about. I think I rambled on about it for like 5 minutes last time we talked about it. So, they are threatening to leak. They have published credit card data stolen from the Bank of Costa Rica, and they are threatening to leak similar files every week.
Yeah, this week Maze operators, they shared a 2 gigabyte spreadsheet. God, that's big.
Yeah.
If you've ever made an Excel spreadsheet without VBA in it, that's huge. Anyway, so Yeah, so they released a 2 gigabyte spreadsheet with payment card numbers and debit cards and credit card numbers from Banco de Costa Rica, and yeah, you know what? This one, I said it when you linked it to me. This one's dumb because a lot of the cartels run their money through the Banco Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
and this shows that I mean.
It was dumb.
Cartels.
And what you said was that they're less afraid of cartels than they are of governments, and I said that's pretty stupid. I'd be more afraid of the cartels.
Sure.
Because the government's going to put you in jail. They're going to arrest you, search you, go through all your hard drives, and put you in jail. But they're not going to kill you. But the Cosa Nostra is going to kill you. Right.
Yeah. So they check these cards. They're good cards. This isn't just bullshit. Like when they're trying to say we got dirt on Trump that we talked about last week. These are good credit cards. They said they've got 4 million unique cards with 140,000 of them belonging to U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It looks like they gained access in August of 2019 through February of 2020. And since then, our security check has improved, but it's still out there.
The guys in the chat room always, guys and girls in the chat room always laugh when I say all hackers are fame fags. But what happened here is that Bleeping Computer let the Bank of Costa Rica know that Mays was saying that they had their shit, and the Bank of Costa Rica turned around and issued a public statement saying that they were quite confident that their systems had not been violated, which is, a very funny Spanish way of saying it. They've not been violated. So the Mays group, the Mays operators, 4 days later, released a spreadsheet with details about their systems showing that they had been violated. And so that would have been May 6th. And then the 21st, 15 days later, they dumped the payment credit card data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then...
So I like this. Just 3 days ago, on the 22nd, another statement reiterating that multiple analysis from internal and external specialists confirmed that their systems were not accessed without authorization.
That must have been CrowdStrike.
Well, and here's the thing. Without authorization. That is a very specific phrase.
Yeah, it is. And they may think that. And
but it doesn't say that the hackers didn't gain access with authorization.
Right, that they didn't.
That's what I'm saying. That's very specific for them to say without authorization. That's not, like you said, with their systems weren't violated. That's a kind of a funny Spanish way to say that.
Uh-huh.
But to say without authorization is a very specific legal term.
Were not accessed without authorization, and that the client's transactions were not impacted.
I'm not buying it.
Except that, their data, their information is out on the darknet somewhere. So other than that, it's not impacted.
Right.
I mean, that would impact me, and I would not be happy about it. But, whatever.
Yeah.
And so the bank might be worried about the cartels at this point, maybe a little bit. But the other thing is that Maze is ransomware.
Yeah.
This is not a ransomware attack. So...
No, technically it isn't, because I don't see anywhere in this article where they have said, give us 30 Bitcoin.
No, this seems like from what the bank is saying, if they really think, and I mean, things can be violated and exfiltrated and them not have found the evidence of it yet. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that it was an insider threat. And in that case, that would have been, their systems could have been accessed in excess of authorization. So if someone accessed it they were authorized, but what they took
was not.
wasn't authorized, right? So,
sure.
So yeah, it is. It's very. The wording is very interesting. The fact that these ransomware actors are doing something that's clearly not ransomware, and the bank says they haven't suffered a ransomware attack. So it's all very interesting. But the bank might be worried about the cartels.
And like I said, no ransom has been,
No.
Maze was involved. Data was exfiltrated.
Yeah, it was exfiltrated. They wouldn't have it if it hadn't been exfiltrated one way or another. It was taken from the bank, which is, the Computer Fraud Act in the United States is 18 USC 1030. Actually, that's the word that they use, taken, right? So it really doesn't matter how you take it. If you take it, you have it.
It is.
It's the same thing. Doesn't matter if you hacked it or not. You took it.
See, which makes me wonder now if at this point, yes, they used, we're going to air quote the term, ransomware. But because no money has been requested, at least nothing that the Banco de Costa Rica has said, I have to wonder if this might actually be extortionware.
Well, yeah, I think that they are definitely using it to extort the bank the way that they did it, and, with the threat. And then they teased the information that they had. Yeah, we did hack your system. This is system information that we've got. They were basically threatening to release more information. They're still threatening to release more information. They're looking for somebody to pay them some money. Obviously, they're trying to.
Yeah, I'm getting to or something in this because no money has been discussed, at least not above board. Right. So if they're not asking for money, what do they want?
Well, I think, and we'll go back to one of the earlier stories that we did the one that we're about to do. The Ragnar Locker story, right? So that Sophos won't say who it was, and they won't say what business they're in, and it could be that they're just holding the information really close to the chest, and they know more than they want to say they know, and I understand that from an investigative perspective. So, like the FBI won't tell you if they're investigating a crime or not. It's one of those things, but it's all very interesting.
Indeed.
And then we have the Ragnarok.
Yeah, this one, when you and I were both reading this one actually came to us from Steve Sanders on Twitter, from his account. This is new. This is
a game changer.
This is just absurd.
It's absurd. Mm-hmm. It is a huge game changer, but even the article... and this is from Bank Info Security. Even the article and even the cybersecurity company that did the investigation, if it works, that's pretty much the take on it, because I'm not sure anybody knows that it works. But this is a game changer. This malware uses a virtual machine. And a virtual machine is it's a software that emulates a computer inside your computer. So
if you want to run another operating system, like if you want to run like Unix on your Windows or any number of things, or Windows on your Apple, whatever, you create a virtual machine, and it's kind of like a sub-operating. It's an operating system operating independent of the operating system, but still. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, and it's separated and is somewhat hidden from your operating system. You can't get forensics from my virtual machines off of my Apple. If I delete the virtual machine files, they're gone. They're actually really gone. So it's not like having an application and then trying to delete the files and they never go away kind of thing. So, it is, it's a totally different thing. It's I use them to run a malware analysis, so then the malware doesn't get on my computer. I can, revert my virtual machine back to a state that it was previously, so it just doesn't touch your main operating system. And what they are accomplishing by doing this, by running their ransomware through a virtual machine, they are hiding the malware, the ransomware, from your antivirus, because it's not in any of the files that the antivirus would be looking. It's not in any of those folders.
And what they're doing is they're deploying this in an Oracle VirtualBox. It's a 2009 operating system running an XP virtual machine. So this is a virtual machine within a virtual machine, and the size of the file, it's 122 megabyte installer with a 282 megabyte virtual machine. And all of this is to conceal a 50 kilobyte ransomware executable.
Exactly. So, and here's my thing, and this is why I emphasize that if it works, because 122 megabytes is a lot to download, and then the 200 and what was the other size? Where did that
282 megabytes. It's 282. A quarter gig.
Then 282 to extract from that and install the virtual machine. That's a lot running in the background. So,
but none of this raises flags with an antivirus software or with a malware software, because all of this is perfectly normal behavior that happens a million times a day.
Yeah, and the caveat to what I said before about the two being separate. So this and VirtualBox is actually harder to separate from. It's harder to isolate than VMware, and especially in the older versions, right? So while it can hide, while what is running on that virtual machine is hidden from your main operating system, your main operating system is not hidden from what is running on that virtual machine if you have the virtual machine set to see it and touch it. So it's brilliant. It's actually friggin' brilliant.
Yeah, if this works, I mean, they've only, as of this time, they had only found one case of it out in the wild. But if this works, because, I mean, the size, or you think about it now, when you think 282 megabytes, well, that's a huge file. And then you think about it and you're like, okay, well, I've got 16 gigs of RAM on my computer. And Chrome, one instance of Chrome uses more than that. So, it sounds like a huge file and, taking up a lot of processes and everything, but on modern computers, it really isn't.
Right. And so what they haven't, why Ordy and I keep saying if it works, what they haven't seen is it actually deployed and executed on a machine where it actually locked down the machine like ransomware does, right? So they've never seen it actually deployed in the wild, take over a machine, encrypt files, and actually work. So, and that's the thing, like, can it successfully download, run, and install this in the background, completely hidden from the user, where they never notice anything is going on? That's the question. And that would be my question, because those are big files. I mean, they're not huge. Like, let's see, I'm looking for my VMware files actually right now. And I don't see them because I was going to tell you how big they are, because they're gigabytes. But again, that's something in the settings. So you set up a virtual machine to be as big as you want that virtual machine to be.
Sure, but this is a 2009. This is running on 2009 OS on an Oracle from price.
Right.
That's over 11 years ago. I mean, the size of that operating system isn't going to be that, isn't going to take that much space. And this gang, they've actually run successful ransoms before. They got Portuguese energy company for 11 million in Bitcoin at the time, and so they are successful. But if this is new, this is huge, and if it works. I mean, not if it's new. It is new, but if it works, this is. And you think about that. That's a lot of. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
that never would have occurred to me. Not even to look for it.
No, I'd love to talk to the guys that found it, and like, how did you find it? What did you think? What was the first thing that went through your head?
That is a luck of the draw to just happen to stumble upon a computer that happens to be running a virtual machine at that given moment. Because I mean, virtual machines, that's not something you do accidentally. Like I said, it happens a million times a day, but you don't just kind of do it.
Right.
It doesn't. It's not like a Google process running in the background.
No, no, absolutely not. I think that, and they didn't really describe how they found it or anything, did they? Because I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that in there. I think that would have been tipping their hand.
Yeah, probably. And I think, and it's kind of a sources and methods thing too, because my guess is that they were in, they infiltrated somewhere where it was being traded, or they found it being traded on the darknet, or they were on a chat in the darknet or something like that, and it came across. That would just be my guess. Because they say in the article, if it works.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I would think that if they found it on a computer, they would know that it works, and that kind of wouldn't be a question anymore. But, I mean, you never know. They were kind of closed-mouthed about it. They didn't want to say too much about it. So, the last thing that we had, and I know that some of our listeners probably also use Discord.
Yeah, we're using it right now. That's how we do this show and Flubar and Fubar.
Yeah,
and I think you do it with the girls on Friday night too, right?
Yep. And there's a little bit of dangerous linky dinky going around.
Links are spoofy.
Links are spoofy. Discord will tell you that. So
this one is called Anarchy Grabber. It's Anarchy Grabber 3. It's being distributed on Discord right now. And what it is it's a Trojan that your friend will send you a game cheat. It's masking itself as a game cheat.
Yeah.
So, or some kind of hacking tool or copyrighted material. And what it is it'll unspool in your computer, changing the JavaScript of Discord. You'll suddenly be prompted to log out and log back in. Then it steals your username and password and uses your account to send it to your friends.
Yeah. And it's basically collecting email and password combinations from Discord and mining them, stuffing them on other sites.
Yeah, we've talked about password stuffing attacks in the past where, people try to gain your account by using information from older accounts, which is why we tell you to always change your passwords.
Yes, and so it stuffs them on other sites and tries to find, somewhere else you've used it. That's why we tell you not to use the same password twice, and can get access to whatever.
Did anybody else lose audio or just Kat? Can everybody else hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear us in my ear.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So anyway, moving. So.
Yeah. So So that's a little bit of a dangerous thing. So, and this brings up a really good point that even if you get links from your friends, there are mobile malwares that there's mobile malware that works this way. There's malware that will access someone's email and send emails to people that works this way. So you may get an email, a text message, or a Discord message, or any number of messages that I've seen them for WhatsApp, where Kick used to be really bad. right? I haven't used that in ages, but they were
Yahoo Mail used to be terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, messaging, email, sure. But this one is in Discord. So even if you get a message from a friend that's sending you a link, you shouldn't necessarily click on it. Like you can just say to your friend, you can just say to your friend, "What is this?" And if they say, "What is what?" you'll be glad you didn't click on the link.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so let's tell the troll story.
All right, so anybody who watched my Twitter account yesterday or has watched it in the past, like in the 26th election, you'll see me argue with people in their native tongue. And I keep saying, God bless Google Translate, but you've got to know. Here's some free advice from your old Uncle Orty on how to successfully troll people in their native tongue. Google Translate is okay, but sometimes people just immediately copy the translation out and drop it in, and it doesn't quite carry the syntax or the message that you want. So when you're using Google Translate, look at the top and you'll see like English to Mandarin Chinese, and then there'll be an arrow going both directions. Flip it and then flip it back and see if the message is still the same. Because that's what we were joking about it when the troll I was arguing with last night said my mom is Peggy. And I said, who the fuck is Peggy? So, we assume he was trying to go with Piggy.
Yeah. But from the context, from the context of the conversation and the things that you guys have been throwing at each other, I think he meant Piggy. Piggy.
Sure. But what I'm saying is always flip it and then flip it again just to make sure. Because what it'll do is when you flip it, it'll change it. Like you're trying to translate English into Mandarin Chinese. Then it'll flip it, translating Mandarin Chinese into English. And then when you flip it back again, that gives you your editable text again to go, no, I did not mean to say, whatever. It gives you a chance to it gives you a chance to fix your context so you can for more effective trolling.
Yes.
I used this to great success in 2016 against the Russians, and I'm using it to great success in 2020 against the Chinese.
It is how to be a master troll from Uncle Orty. And what the troll that was trolling you last night was clearly not doing that, and he tweeted one phrase at you. And
it didn't translate at all, so I couldn't.
No, it translated it. It translated into the English spelling of the Chinese words, which I had to go. I had to go like do some searching and manipulating of Google to figure out that he was just trying to tell you that you have a lot of time on your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the great thing is through it is it started out where he was convinced I was Chinese. And then he thought that I was using Taiwanese Chinese. And then it wasn't until I told him that I'm American using Google Translate to troll you, then he got mad. Well, he also got mad when I was posting pictures of the Tiananmen Square Massacre and the Great Famine. And because he was a pure CCP believer. He was a true believer.
Yeah, he certainly seemed to be. He was very upset that you were trying to get him to say that Xi Jinping is Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, trolling tips from your old Uncle Orty.
Trolling tips from Uncle Orty. You never know when you might need them. They are very important. They can come in handy. So I think that's all we've got tonight.
I think so too. I think we covered everything. And right on time too.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. We're getting better at this, I think.
We're getting good at this. Where can people find you, Lou?
I am Cyber Red Stick on Twitter, and I am back here Friday night with my girls and just to shoot the shit at 8:30, and then I'm here with you every Monday at 10. How about you?
And also producing for us on Flubar and Fubar.
Yeah, this week I produce all over the place. I can't even remember myself. It's like crazy. What about you?
Red wine. He said, she said.
I know. It's nuts. What about you?
Okay, this week I am on Toxic Masculinity with Rick and G on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And then I will be back with Rick, probably, if Dan is still an essential employee, at 10 p.m. On Robinson and Wright. Then Friday, as part of our Politics Free Friday, I will be on Juxtaposition with Rick.
Woohoo! That's
And
a good
as
show.
always,
What
you
are
can find
y'all
me as Ordy Packard on Twitter when I'm not suspended.
What are y'all doing on Jux this week?
We are going. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary within the last week or so, between the previous show and the last show that we did. So we're going to start going back on some of our early primers, and I don't think we've decided which one yet, but I think, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll be going back to MK Ultra, maybe because we just kind of touched on that with Kennedy. Lots of places for us to go. In short, I don't know yet. Rick and I have talked about some things, but we haven't finalized on anything yet.
Okay. All right, cool. Because that's a good show, and people should listen to it.
Well, thank you.
That is really interesting. All right, so we so appreciate you being in chat tonight. So appreciate everybody listening and downloading. We will be back next week with more malware and shenanigans from the intranet. Am I right?
Who the fuck is Peggy?
And more Peggies.
And more Peggy.
And thanks for joining us, you guys. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.